Hi everyone, I'm MaryAnn. I'm a visual artist and voice coach from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to day 29 of my 100-day vlog project. So this is a daily series that's going to end on Christmas Eve 2020, where I share what I've learned about the creative journey, about my, the artistic process, about pursuing your passion, following your dreams, following your heart, making what really matters to you come true, finding meaning and purpose in your life. And if you have questions relating to any of these things, feel free to ask them in the comments below, or you can message me in any of my social media links which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. So day 29 of this series. Yesterday, or in the past couple of days, I talked a lot about how we're each on our own journey, and it's about discovering what really matters to us, and testing things out as we go along, because the only way to figure out if something is really meaningful and really matters to you is to try it out, basically. And then at the same time, not getting too attached to what you have found to work for yourself, because as we evolve over the course of our lives, our preferences and our tastes would change as well, but our core value and what really what we really want to embody in this life, that doesn't really change that much, and everything that we do always aligns back to that core value that we are trying to embody and express in our life. So today what I wanted to talk about is how there's this thing called entropy in life. And entropy basically means that things are always in a state of decay. And that means that nothing ever really stays constant. In fact, when we think something is staying constant, it's actually on a decline. So like, for example, how entropy is seen in our daily lives, for example, is like every single week or so you have to clean your house. I mean, you don't have to, right? But if you like living in a clean environment, you have to clean your house at some point and regularly, because every time you clean it, it never stays clean, because some dirt would blow in somewhere, like our skin flicks off and floats around and lands and becomes dust and things like that, right? That happens. It's the same thing with why it's the same thing with why we shower regularly, because after you shower, yeah, you're nice and clean and you smell fresh, but and a whole day goes by and you've been out and about, and especially if you live in a tropical humid climate like I do in Singapore, sometimes even not a day, like 3 hours later you have to shower again, because that's just how it is here. You perspire, dirt sticks to you, you start to feel sticky, and you shower to I guess get back into that state of cleanness and freshness. So entropy happens around us all the time, every single time, and that's why it's really important to constantly challenge our comfort zone and to constantly keep things moving in our lives. So even when you have discovered something that really matters to you and a way that works for you in terms of living this life and going on this path of yours, and even when you have tried different things out and seen what works for you, it's important to every now and then kind of reevaluate to see if these things are still what matters to you, and to see if there are any new things out there that you could try out and add on to what you have already lived in your life, or change things up. And this is important because in our in the way we live our lives too, when we get fixated in certain routines, because we're creatures of habit, right? We like knowing that, okay, this thing is gonna happen this certain way, like if you have like a regular day job, then every day at 8 a.m. I wake up, at 9 a.m. I go to work, I knock off at like 5 p.m. and then I go drink with my colleagues at the bar, and then the whole cycle repeats itself again and again, right? So if you're always in the same job, for example, or even the same position in your job, or if let's say every work day after that you hang out with the same colleagues over and over again, or over the course of your life, you have like just like 3 friends over 20 years, and that doesn't really change, like you don't really meet any new people. That's where entropy would set in our lives, in ways that we don't see. When everything kind of stays the same in your life, we think that, that's the ideal, but it's not, because it's actually going on a decline. unless of course, you know, you are constantly evolving yourself and your friends are also constantly evolving themselves, and then you're always changing things up, then that's different. um, so one very clear thing of how entropy would show up is, you know, as we get older, and I'm sure you've seen, you know, a lot of elderly people in your lifetime. One thing you might notice about them is that, you know, they tend to be kind of lost in their own thoughts sometimes, or like they can't really hear as clearly as they used to. And maybe, you know, they might seem a little docile, or or seem like frail, or, you know, it seems like, you know, the conversation goes on around them but they're not really actively engaged in the conversation. So one of the things is that, yes, you know, our mental faculties do decline over time, and why that happens is because, you know, we haven't challenged it enough, we haven't given it enough stimulus to actually, you know, to actually have that desire to keep growing and to keep evolving. So, you know, if we don't push our comfort zone, if we don't constantly change things up in our lives, well, maybe not constantly, but every once in a while, if you don't try new things, if you don't change things up in your life, it's very easy to stagnate. It's very easy to stay in a certain, you know, bubble or a certain box. And then the older we get, the more solidified that becomes, and the harder it is to actually break free from that. I think one example I really love to share is my grandmother. She's someone who constantly pushes that box for her, and she doesn't stay still in one kind of routine or one kind of way of living. When she was in her 50s and 60s, she ice skated. Like, she learned ice skating in her 50s, and she learned ballet for adults in her 50s as well. Like, she was the oldest person in the class. Everyone else were younger women in their 20s and 30s. And 3 years ago, my sister had her wedding party in the UK because she married an Englishman. And they had like, you know, some Scottish dance lessons going on during this party. And my grandmother was right there on the dance floor learning the dance steps together with every one of us younger people. And she was, you know, she was really enthusiastic about it. She loved it so much. These days her mobility is not that great like it used to be, but she still learns, you know, she's still learning English. It's like she still takes English lessons, because English is not her first language, but she's still taking English lessons. She even goes for a class that teaches elderly people how to use a tablet, and she doesn't even own a tablet. So what I'm saying is that, you know, like no matter how old we are, and no matter how and especially if we get too comfortable in our lives, all the more it's important to try out different things and to try new things and to reevaluate, you know, is this something that I still want in my life? Is this something that still works for me in my life? Because, you know, entropy is something that is inevitable, and if we don't keep pushing against our own boundaries and our comfort zone, then we would eventually solidify in a certain way and actually start declining in terms of our mental faculties, maybe even our emotional and physical abilities as well. So keep evolving, keep working on yourself, keep pushing your comfort zone and your boundaries, and try different things out and see what else would resonate with you other than what you're already used to. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, or like my Facebook page wherever you're seeing this on, and feel free to ask your questions in the comments or directly message me through any of my social media links in the write-ups. And I will see you tomorrow.